Welcome back to the Fashionably Late Pod. My name is Matt Dillon, and as you know by now, this is a larger scope discussion. Being fashionably late is about a universal theme coming through, where the universe is throwing things at you at the right time. You may not think it, but it's throwing things at you the right time. So I want to get into today's little topic, Screw You, Watch This, by Sara Davison, divorce coach, brilliant mindset in understanding the concept of narcissism and really going through that journey. Sarah, my friend too, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, girl.
Hey! Oh my God, it's so good to be
We're
back.
here.
Yeah.
We're in Miami, bitch.
Finally.
Okay, so I want to start with the idea, and I want you to define between the two.
Okay.
Of a narcissist and somebody with a healthy ego. Because the healthy ego can teeter on whether it's feeling confidence, but if you're self-inflated too much, that I assume would be the start of a narcissist journey. And I've met many a bitch before. So hit me.
I'm going to hit you with this.
Okay.
Narcissistic personality types will have no empathy.
Okay.
So
That's a very important key there.
That's the key. So it doesn't, I mean, it will come across as grandiose sometimes, but also they can be quite covert and not so showy. But it's a complete self-obsession beneath the surface. So if they have no empathy, so they don't really recognize if they're how people are feeling. They don't care. They don't really mind if they upset people. They don't mind if they hurt people. So again, that's really the key to telling if someone's toxic or not. Is do they have empathy? That's what it comes down to.
That's a really pivotal detector there. And I think you nailed on something where you said they don't care if they hurt. They don't feel it. It doesn't resonate.
Yeah.
Is that, take me deeper into that concept, because that means that they're in like almost like a bubble of self-importance, and what goes in their life is the only thing that matters. How does one become a narcissist? Is it ingrained, or is it like, tell me that psychological breakdown, because it's interesting to me to be like, you don't come out of the womb a narcissist.
Oh, well, can do.
Really? Oh, man. Really? Okay.
Yeah. So it can either be nature or nurture. So some people say that you can be born that way, and then also you can that can develop over time because of the environment you're in. And I think there's a big spectrum of toxic behavior. Some people are just a little bit selfish, self-centered. Maybe
I've been a little toxic every now and then, my bad.
But then on the other side, you've got like full-blown cruelty to people.
Harmful, where it can like affect your life in physical, emotional, mental, like real deep.
And I think it's interesting because in the UK, we changed how we refer to domestic violence, you call it here. We call it domestic abuse in the UK. And that was a relatively recent change because a lot of people didn't recognize they were in toxic relationships because they didn't have a broken arm or a black eye or a burn. They're like, well, they don't hurt me physically, but emotional abuse can be just as bad, if not worse. And there's no scars externally for people to recognize that. But internally, the overwhelm, the gaslighting, the hurt, the fear, the confusion can be very debilitating.
That's a really interesting segue. All of this that can't be seen. So when it's not seen, is there a side to that where people are like, you're making this up, this is not
100%.
true? So how does one deal, like you're on a boat floating in the middle of the ocean by yourself. Well, not even a boat, honey. I'll be on that dinghy, but you know what I mean. That connectiveness there it's frightening.
Yeah. It's really
Can you
scary.
talk a little bit about your processes and how you came to have and build these, obviously going through years of your own story, years of hearing other people's stories, and how perhaps, when somebody doesn't believe you, when they're like, you're making this up in your mind because I can't see what you're talking about.
Do you know the scary thing here is that it's quite often us, the victim, the survivor, that thinks we're making it up in our own head.
And that's when you go into the dark hole.
Yeah. We think it's us. We think it's us doing something wrong. Probably because we're being told it's us. So there's a cycle where everything's going okay, you're getting on in the relationship, and then there's an instant of abuse. Now, that could be name calling, it could be much more extreme. But then you recoil and you take a step back and you're like, oh my goodness, that was painful, that hurt me, that was upsetting. And as you pull away, that toxic partner is going to want to hoover you. It's called back in. So all they're going to, and there's several things that can play out to get back to the equilibrium. And that could be, that didn't happen that way. What are you talking about? You showed up, you did that. Don't put your stuff on me. So it could be something like that. Or it could be, I'm so sorry, I was out of line, I'm having a bad day. Whatever they think at that moment is the best tool to hook you back in and get you back on side, because they need that narcissistic supply of adoration. They want you there. They can't survive without it.
It's their drug, almost.
It's their oxygen.
Wow.
They cannot.
Oxygen, darling.
Oxygen. They can't survive without it. It's not sort of a thing they need from time to time. It is their life source.
Do you think people innately go into dating, being married, and have they have that no self-control and they are that narcissist? Do people go into that with that mindset? I'm going to control you.
They don't know anything else. So this is how they work with everybody in their lives. So some people you can be nice to because you want to. Because the interesting thing is abuse isn't always nasty. It can be actually, I'm your life and soul.
Yes.
Or I'll listen to your stories. Come and tell me, because then they're getting information.
Taking notes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I know exactly where your weak points, where you're vulnerable. So I can, if I need to, I can throw that back at some time.
Wow.
So, it could be all sorts of
covert
things.
operations.
Yeah.
This is really interesting because I'm like, I choose to believe I've seen a lot of BS. So I've seen it, you've seen it, but I deep down and I want to know, do you still choose to see the best in people? Or given what you've studied and what you've brought through, can you identify almost immediately, hail to the no, that's a narcissist? What are 3 signs if I step into a relationship, a brand new relationship? Are there any triggers, red flags?
Absolutely.
Tell me, all right, what am I looking for? Let me take notes. What page? Okay.
So first of all, at the beginning of a relationship, let's be honest, we would never get into these relationships if they were how they were presenting on the last day of the relationship. So we get in because there's what's called love bombing. So they make us feel amazing, $1 million, the solution to all our problems, right? The fairy tale that we were told was coming, and there it is, there they are. And so we fall in love with that. But this is the perception they're creating. It's not the reality of who they are. So we exist in this fairy tale bubble.
Slips eventually.
It does. And that can be relatively quite quickly. It could be just a barbed comment that you go, ooh. And then the next time they show up, they're smiling. So you're thinking, oh, okay, well, maybe that was me, or maybe they were just having a bad moment. But then over time, that becomes more frequent.
Okay.
Because then you're more secure, you're more trapped into that relationship, maybe financially, emotionally.
I can relate.
Living with them. Yeah, exactly. Then suddenly it's really, how do I get out of this?
Yeah.
Because they will then also isolate you from friends and family. That won't happen on day one, but it will start to show up as, oh, do you know what? Do we have to go and see your parents this weekend? I'm a bit tired. To then at the end of the relationship, it's like, why would I go see your parents? They're boring. I don't want to be with them. So again, it's a slow process. There'll be lies. If you have that feeling that this doesn't feel quite right, trust your instinct, because over a period of time, that will be eroded as well, because you'll be told that you're wrong.
Yeah.
Well, don't be silly, you're
You'll
daft.
start to believe it.
Yeah, that didn't happen. What are you talking about? This happened.
Yeah.
And then you're so confused, you don't know whether you're coming or going.
This is interesting. It's very personal what you do. And I wonder that you've built a career around the second, one of the, universally known as one of the second hardest things you'll ever go through in your life.
Yeah, divorce, yeah.
So I would say that there's an empathic thing inside you where, how do you turn off and be like, I want to help you. You're listening to stories. Obviously, you have your coaching business. So you're not the front person with every individual.
Yeah.
But how do you compartmentalize stories that you hear from other people, given your story, given what you've gone through, and not just be like, wow, the world is dark, the world is frightening, and
Mm,
people can be just as cold-hearted. It's a personal question. How do
yeah.
you? No, I don't think the words disassociate, but like differentiate between not taking on too much, where it impales you again and
Yeah.
brings you back to, how did you get to be this, sister? Tell me everything.
That's a really good question, Matt, because it's a lot of people think that it's a really depressing job, and yeah, but actually, what I do gives people so much hope.
Hmm.
And I've been coaching for 30 years, so I have a lot of tools, and this is
And
what I
she's only 32, guys.
yes, only 32. Yeah, that's right. Thank you for
Baby.
that. But I've learned tools and developed tools that I share with the coaches in my training school, and I'm training them. That sometimes it can feel like you're at the end of like a hose pipe, and it's kind of coming at you like a fire hose thing.
Because you're that person that they
Yeah.
don't have. So
Yes.
it's like, let me just vomit all over you with everything that's shit in my life.
Yeah, yeah.
And that what must be, you've mentioned it before. It's interesting, like finding your people, because family and friends don't want to hear this shit after a certain time.
Yeah, it's true. It's
So
true.
you've created a whole system,
Yeah.
and I definitely agree. Yes, there's a lot of positive, but it's like there's a lot of heaviness in it.
Yeah, there can be. And I think the trick is not to let that land. And I show my coaches how to there's so much information, but there's bits of it that we're looking for that we can go, okay, well, if that's going on, try this, do this.
Okay.
Let's put a plan in place for this. So a lot of it, like, it was raining last Wednesday and I was wearing a red Mac and it's like, I don't need that. So I would just, give me the stuff I need. And we're filtering for the bits that we can help. And then in the end of every coaching session, we're developing an action plan. And that is where the hope and the momentum comes and the change, the actual fast positive transformations that we're creating from every session come from creating a dynamic action plan and then helping them to take those actions. So when they come back, they've made a huge leap forward. So it shifts from being quite negative to really empowering. And the way I train my coaches is we only hear the full story once. We need it for the depth and the understanding, and the client needs to know that they've told us everything, but we don't relive that. So it's quite different to some ways in other types of therapy and counseling, because we're then on to the latest thing that's happened, and then let's move you forward.
That's very, very interesting, because I think that's the important part. Hear it once, because otherwise you get in a woe be me, life's too hard, and how do you actually get the hell out of that?
Yeah, and did you know that your brain doesn't actually know the difference between something that you're saying from the past or it's happening now? So if you keep telling your story and it's traumatic and very sad.
Down you go. And
Yeah.
sometimes you can't get out of that black hole.
Yeah, your brain goes, I know how I feel here. I feel sad, I cry, I get upset. And then you're just reliving all those negative emotions. So the trick is to learn not to do that. But you can't just stop doing something, by the way. Really important. Someone will say, well, just don't tell your story anymore. It's okay, well then, what do I do instead?
Okay,
You have to swap it for something else.
That's where I was headed, because I want to know, and it might be a little confronting, this question. Can you look at somebody and be like, and I don't say this, I say this with a lot of grace, but there's people that are pre-framed, like myself. Maybe I push things down a little bit, but I know I can have, I got voices in the head that talk to me, and I have conversations to be able to lift myself up.
Mm-hmm.
But there are weak people that really, in these big moments,
Yeah.
how do you give them like that first breadcrumb? Like what is a tangible story perhaps of somebody? And I actually remember when I think it was during the pandemic, or was it at some time, that I logged on to one of these Zooms that you do. And I have to say, and it was brilliant to see a man on there talking and just free flowing conversation with complete strangers.
Yeah.
That found this commonality. But I remember, and I'm not calling him out, I'm just saying the vulnerability in him.
Yeah.
He was more vulnerable than anybody on there put together. And it made me like goose up. It made me feel a visceral reaction to seeing a human being so broken.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think you're talking about the free online support groups.
I'm
that we
talking
run.
support groups, but I'm also talking about somebody that needs perhaps like a kick in the ass almost, to be like, hey, like self-loathing, self-pity, this. How what are some tools that can redirect something? Because nobody, look at you, you're a very strong-willed human being. But perhaps you weren't always that way.
No, I was broken.
So let's talk about the broken part and how you funneled that. Because I think that's important.
Yeah. I think for me, and that's how this whole book, this whole title, Screw You, Watch This, came about. The thing is, I was broken. And if I look back, I've been in more than one toxic relationship. But it got
Haven't we all? We love the drama.
But it gets to the point where I was so broken, and I'd gone to this beautiful beach. It was actually in Australia, Balmoral Beach.
Oh,
Yeah.
Bali.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was like a white sandy beach, turquoise sea. And I got out there for work, but I'd been overwhelmed by everything that was going on with this recent breakup. And I was sat on this little sea wall while everyone was living their best life, like around me on the beach, playing and running and jogging and all the things.
There was a movie happening.
Yeah, and it's
you.
warm and everyone's having a great time. And yet I'm there racked with pain, actually sobbing, like proper sobbing on this little sea wall. And then this cockatoo flew down. Now, we don't have cockatoos in England. We have pigeons. So this bird is like white and like beautiful, this yellow plume. And I'm like, wow.
Hello. Remember you met the cockatoo at the CWF?
Oh, yeah, I did met the cockatoo at CWF. You're absolutely right. Oh, yeah. So I was looking at this bird and I was like, what am I doing? Like, I'm in this beautiful place that people come for vacations and I'm here and I've brought all my baggage with me and I'm sat here crying my eyes out. Enough. Enough is enough. I'm going to step up. And if I haven't got the tools, which I didn't have at the time, I'm going to create them because I'd been a coach at that point for about 15 years. And I'm going to...
It's a good point for people to remember. Yeah, this is an extension of the life and career that you built outside of this.
Yeah. And I was like, if there's no tools, because therapy hadn't touched the sides for how to communicate with someone that was toxic, how to recover, how to show up at the same events that they were going to if you had to, none of that. So I was like, I'm going to create some tools to get me through, and then let's see where we go from there. And that was my, screw you, you're not going to break me.
Watch this.
I'm not scared anymore.
Yeah.
Watch this. Yeah.
And it wasn't a white dove that came and helped you. It was a cockatoo.
It was a cockatoo.
How amusing. So let's look at here the concept of recovering from a toxic relationship. We do live in a society where it's tough out there. It's financially the world we live in right now. I know the UK is under a lot of, I read that. Here, everything's kind of pulsating the same function. Life's tough. People are just trying to live every day, put the roof over their head. And maybe they don't have that analysis where they can be like, shit, I am repeating a pattern here. And they like that little bit of that love bomb in the beginning. Because I think that love bomb can be so intoxicating that it's like, oh, yes, I'm willing to go through the shit and maybe this is short time. How do you tell somebody and what advice can we give to not repeat a pattern?
Well, you've got to do the work. I think that's the important thing. And the work actually starts with understanding what a toxic relationship looks like, how it plays out, because we've got to be operating from a conscious level, not an unconscious level, because that toxic relationship will feel familiar and ironically feel safe. So what we'll do is go, oh, this feels good. I'm going to do this again, right? So we're repeating the pattern.
So that's here.
Yeah.
I'm feeling that, but we got to look up here.
But we're not looking at what do I need from a relationship. We quite often focus on what we want. So, tall, dark, handsome,
Yes, of course.
short.
I mean, that's
natural.
Human nature, and that's how things get popping.
Yeah. But there's a much deeper level we've got to go to if you are prone to toxic relationships, or even if you're not, to be honest. But to stat the odds that this is going to be a successful, healthy relationship, we need to understand what that looks like and what you need. And quite often, most people that have been hurt by somebody toxic will have loyalty, honesty, kindness, emotional stability, emotional intelligence higher up their list than maybe they did when they were younger, and it was more like passion and love, excitement.
I was about
adventure.
to say, not to age anybody, but I was about to say, as you move in life, certain things change and things pivot to long-lasting and understanding. Oh my God, do I want this for the rest of my life? Scenario. Yeah.
Your values take a massive shift when you've gone through something traumatic. You reprioritize what's most important to you in life. So when we're more focused on kindness and thoughtfulness, when you're on your first date and they're like, I don't like my food, come here, take it away. You're like, that's not nice. That's not kind.
Guilty of that sometimes. Hurry up. Hurry up.
And we're looking then more intently for red flags, because I always train, and my coaches are trained to do this, where we say, look, when you go on a date, if you spot a red flag, What we're not going to do is repeat the old pattern of, I must be having a bad day, or, well, it was a tough time for them.
Are we going to call it out?
We're going to say, no, because we don't want to increase your risk factor.
I'll be like, listen here, that's a red flag.
We note it and we deploy our parachute and we exit the building with immediate effect.
What? Okay, so we're like...
I'm done. Now, I had one of my clients recently. She's very sweet. She came out of a relationship, started dating again. So we'd done the work. She knew exactly what she wanted. And kindness and respect, two things she was missing, by the way, in her relationship.
Do you think there's just, not to cut you off, but kindness and respect, I think people put them last all the time.
Yeah.
Towards yourself even.
Yeah.
Continue. I just I had to say that because I think
true.
sometimes we forget to be kind.
To ourselves.
And by
is
allowing
important.
that shit to happen, we're being unkind to ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely spot on.
Tell me about the sister's problem. Continue that story. I want to know.
So she'd gone on a date with this guy and he matched what she wanted. Perfect match. He was, in her eyes, absolutely the ideal, designed by the angels. So she met him for a drink and it went really well. So she phoned me and she said, had this date, love him, he's great, really excited. He's taking me for dinner next week. I was like, great. So she drove to the date because she didn't want to drink. She wanted to be able to get away if she wanted to. So she had a car outside.
I think that's very smart.
Yeah, I do as well. Met him in London and they went for a nice dinner. But the scenario of the food being cold when it came out for him showed he was being so nice to her, very love bombing, actually, very kind, promising her the world, talking about how wonderful she was. Great compliments, making her feel good. But the way he treated the waitress and the way he sent the food back and was dismissive and rude to them, for the first time, she went, this is not kindness. He's got no respect. So her red flags were then ticked. She knew it. So she's a nice person because she's highly empathetic. Most people who've been in toxic relationships are highly empathetic.
I agree with that.
Because you kind of have to be. You have to be. Because otherwise you'd walk away.
I think it's a beautiful trait to have in life anyway.
Yeah.
Even if it gets you in trouble sometimes.
Exactly.
Having empathy will always be a core, not sympathy. I won't sympathize with you if you're fucking up again and again. I want to do that.
Yeah.
But I think leading with empathy is always important.
Yeah.
And it does get you in trouble sometimes. So did she bounce?
So she finished her dinner. She's
like...
She finished her dinner. But in her head, she said she had my voice going, deploy your parachute, deploy your parachute.
Oh, wow.
So she walked out to the car and he walked her back to the car. Second date, he moves in to kiss her. She then moves away and goes, I'm really sorry. I don't think this is going to work. And she got in her car and she drove off. And she phoned me and she was like, Sara, I think I've made a big mistake. He's so gorgeous. It went so well. But he did this thing with the waitress. And I was like, what's your gut telling you? And she said, I escaped a toxic relationship right in that moment.
Wow.
And she was like, even if I made a mistake, I think I've done the right thing because I don't want to take the risk. And that's the challenge. With people who are highly empathetic, we want to give a second chance. We're like, oh, well, they didn't mean it.
Sometimes when 3, 4, 5, 6. I mean, how bad do you want to go down that hill?
Are you speaking from experience?
Let's share stories off camera. Yes.
Exactly. So, I think it's just about becoming consciously aware because otherwise she would have just repeated the same pattern. So it's about understanding what toxic relationships are and what your boundaries are and what you want from those relationships.
That's a really beautiful story. It's like a finite moment, but I think her being able to address and analyze that and maybe feeling like, I'm giving up something that could be the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
Knowing full well that what she expects and what she wants and how that's supposed to look. But I think people need to start feeling things and living in. I want to talk to you about the concept of like living in reality. Like sometimes you convince yourself so hard, yes, this is going to be fabulous. I'm crossing where the tick sheets are, that you should be Xing them from the beginning.
Yeah.
How does one live in reality here and be like, and I think I want to talk about the gut.
Yeah.
Because I think the gut will never steer you wrong. It's actually leaning in and listening to that and saying, I know what's right for me, but why am I doing this? So let's talk about the concept of like that gut feeling and why that's important.
It's really important because it's our internal burglar alarm
like
system.
Ding, 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 ding.
But most of us will pay very little attention to it and pay more attention to our house alarm going off than our instinct going, this is not a good one. You've got to run. This is not okay. So we just suppress it. And if you've been in a toxic relationship, you've been told you're wrong so many times, you probably don't think you can trust it anyway because you're going to be wrong. So again, rebuilding that after a toxic relationship is one of the exercises that I do with my clients. And that's super important because it's even the small decisions like what am I going to have for breakfast or where am I going to go today? What am I going to wear? A lot of people pick up the phone and ask people. And I'm saying, well, you can do that. Or if there's a challenge at work or whatever, I'm saying, ask yourself first. And then see what yourself comes up with, see what your brain tells you to do. And then you can always pick up the phone to your friend or your mum or whatever and ask them for a sense check.
If you're calling people to ask what's for breakfast, bitch, you got big problems. Screw you, read the book, baby.
The interesting thing about that screw you is that it's not about revenge.
I know.
It's more screw you to the feeling, to the fear, to the, you know, the old story that you've been telling yourself or the situation you've been trapped in. It's not about revenge. It's not personal. It's not directed to an ex. It's about self-empowerment. So it's screw you to the fear and it's watch this is about you stepping up, activating that power within you to make that decision that this isn't going to define you anymore. It's going to be you moving forward with all the opportunities and letting that past go.
So it's almost like I will.
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah.
I can.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of it's like I think what's important in all of this is community. And I think what you create and what you bring to the table may start as a feeling of brokenness and a feeling of like there's no help. But then when you meet other people that are like that, it can build a really strong community that can uplift. Because I think there's a lot of compassion and empathy missing in this world.
Yeah. I think a lot of people go through this. I think everybody,
I think everybody's gone through this.
Yeah.
Maybe not divorce, but you're the divorce coach. But relationships. This is not just about mothers, fathers, kids. This is me. This is somebody in a working relationship. This doesn't have to. I think this book is so important because there's narcissism in the workplace. There's narcissism in social networks of friends that are existing.
Yeah.
Like there's a fight to be the top dog and what have you. So I think like this broader message really does hit everybody. I don't think there's not one person that hasn't been touched by a narcissist or isn't a narcissist.
Well, exactly. And that's why when I started this and I was like, screw you, watch this, I'm going to go and help people. I just couldn't cope with the amount of people that needed the help. I was like, oh, wow. So I wasn't alone, which is why I set up the training school to train people to do what I do. Yeah. So now we've got this whole movement going out, making sure my mission is to make sure that no one has to feel the way that I felt. So I'm training people around the world to be able to take the tools and they can go and help other people too, which...
You took a moment in your life that possibly could have broken you and maybe you weren't prepared for it. It's not like, you know, I've heard your stories. It's not like you expected any of that to happen.
No, didn't see it coming.
But the universe did this to placate something and to put it in front of you. So it's like, you know, so now you're on time. Fashionably is the mindset. Fashionably late is like not being late to a party. It's about the mindset and how strong as humans we can be when we least expect it. That's what I mean. That's what I must say. She was on time today, all the way from the UK. Good job. Good job, honey. Good job. But yeah, I think that concept is quite enthralling to look at this book and this concept. It's almost like a global pandemic.
Yeah. Well, it is. It is a global pandemic. Toxic relationships. I mean, you can see it on the politician stage. You can see it everywhere you look.
That's what I mean.
There's someone, whether, you know, celebrities, you know, you see it. And I think, you know, it's not just them, though. It's everybody. And everyone's recognizing that now. And everyone is, the people that are struggling, this is my goal, that they see that there is a way through. And you can rebuild. You can get stronger. And there are people that can support you through it. And there is a whole tribe of people that have not only been through this, but have turn that pain into their superpower and are living their best lives because of it. You don't have to be trapped. This doesn't have to define you. Toxic relationships can break you, but the recovery can rebuild your entire life in phenomenal ways.
That's an important, the recovery part of it can rebuild. And I think people need to, given the world we're in now, given what we're at, I think comfortability people are fearful, people are scared, and I can myself understand that you perhaps this is not as bad as it could be. But if it's bad on that onset and reading through this and understanding, it doesn't have to be as bad as it could be. It shouldn't be bad at all. Beyond the fluctuations of life issues.
Yeah.
Because I think a healthy relationship is not always even
No, definitely.
even keeled.
Still be arguments, still be conflict.
that's fine.
That's okay. But the difference is you can work through it. You've got open communication where you feel safe.
It's not a one-on-one, it's a together
Yeah.
tit-a-tat.
Yeah. And you can be yourself. You can say, I truly feel this, or I didn't like it when you did that, without fear of repercussions. Whereas when you have the fear of repercussions, you lose your voice.
Yeah, you mute yourself.
Yeah. And that's really disempowering. And that's something that needs, as part of the healing, we need to get your voice back. And there's lots of exercises in the book about saying yes more. But it's not just saying yes more, it's also being able to say no.
I think that's the biggest thing. And it's really hard for people to say no.
Yeah. Especially
No
if you're
to think-
empathetic, because you
I
don't want to
agree.
upset someone. You want to please people. So you're like, oh, I'll go to that. I'll do that. Oh, yeah, okay, I can tolerate that. But actually,
I say no now.
yeah, that's good.
I'm like, we're not doing that. If we ain't getting paid, it ain't helping my heart, it's not helping my soul.
Yeah,
We ain't doing it.
Yeah.
And I think that's
healthy
the
boundaries.
greatest. That's the thing. But I think this concept of narcissism as an empath, it's very interesting. And I'm like, is it something that I kind of feel sometimes you want to help people, like the narcissist? I'm like, oh, I could change you. I want to help. Sometimes you do.
No, you don't.
But I'm very well aware of that. I've known you a hot
can't.
minute. I'm like, but trust me, I could have written the book on that. A leopard will never change its spots, ever. And your self-worth and your value, as written in this book, is far more important to help you get to that beautiful stage of life and find that person or that ideal friendship and what have you. I think this is important to note that this is for this everybody concept.
Yeah.
Narcissism doesn't just come in it's probably way more fist down in a relationship. But, what about in a workplace? Talk about a workplace.
I mean, we see that. Just on your point there, my focus is not on helping the narcissist. My focus is helping the and I think that, and I know you know that, but it's really important that we help the people who are struggling with this to rebuild and to cope better and to know that there is hope and they can do it.
And they can go out into the world.
Yeah, and it's not their fault that they're in this situation either. It's not their fault. And there is support, there is understanding, and there is a lot that they can do to take their power back. So I think that's key. Yeah, and in the workplace, we see this all the time.
Yeah.
People, even on the same level as you're sort of vying for different positions, things that make you look bad to make them look better. Bosses, abuse of power. There's so many different dynamics there. And it can be really obvious. But even if it's obvious to you, to other people, they'll be like, but they're so nice, they're so charming, they're so fun, And
because
it's again,
maybe they can get something from that. Like
exactly.
It's a tit-a-tat between understanding, like, scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. And then that's like a give and take.
Yeah.
As opposed to I'm playing the ultimate game of chess here and it's diabolical.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of people feel then that they can't say because they might lose their job. And what are the repercussions?
That's another relationship you're in.
Exactly.
The home, and you spend 50 to 60% of your time in a work environment.
Yeah. And that's why now with my business, we started going into companies and supporting employees who are dealing with any of these issues.
I think that's a huge market because we do spend over 50% of our lives working.
And training the HR staff, what are the signs of domestic abuse? What are the signs? Because victims of abuse don't come with a badge. We hide it. We don't want people to know because there's a lot of shame, a lot of stigma that this might be going on. In fact, I'm working with a lady at the moment who's been put through the disciplinary process to be removed from her job because she's always late and they gave her a new laptop and it's had to be repaired several times. But what she hasn't told HR, because she's ashamed and she's worried what people will think, and also she's fearful of her ex because he knows people in the office, is that he's actually locking her in the house in the mornings, hiding her keys, slashing her car tires so she cannot get to work on time.
Trying to ruin her life.
Yeah. And then at night, he's chipping the keys off her laptop and then hiding the keys so she can't fix it herself.
Girl, see the signs. You gotta go, girl.
Yeah, but
Wow.
she feels trapped and she's terrified, and she's going to lose her job over this because HR is saying she's late, she doesn't care about her job, and she doesn't care about property.
So important for what you're doing to actually educate on a greater level outside of it, because I think most people, hear and they're like, oh, it's relationship based, but not just that. It's relationship based, workplace, friendship groups here. I think this
such a good
book
point.
truly is. It's funny because I said to you, I was like, where are we at? I was like, this is the title. Bang, bang, bang. Because it makes you stop for a second and be like, oh, it's a little brash. What's the tonality behind this?
Mm-hmm.
But this is empowering. And if you don't start empowering yourself first, you ain't got no chance.
Yeah.
And you've told me that.
You need a bit of oomph. You need that fire. But usually it's when you get to rock bottom. So when I was on Balmoral Beach crying my eyes out, that was rock bottom for me. But you get to that defining moment where you get to choose. And it's, as I said, not about revenge. It's like, screw you. This whole fear and this what's holding me back. Watch this is such an empowering sort of few words that gets you up going, okay, and you can either go, watch this. And
the Jane Fonda workout. Let's go, baby.
I mean, it is. It gives you that fire in your belly to get up and make those changes.
Final question. That this, in my mindset, is, again, I mentioned that not everybody is strong all the time to be able to step up and be and do. But if you slowly take those breadcrumbs, you'll get there.
Yeah.
Do you think that this is on the thing? And I lived my life from the beginning this. Screw you, watch this is almost like I'm going to fake it till I make it and apply your principles. So just the concept of faking it till you're making it.
Yeah. I think you've got to act as if as well, because sometimes you're not going to feel like getting out of bed. You're not going to feel like putting a smile on your face. But actually just doing that is going to shift your physiology. It's going to get the ball rolling. It's going to get you out there and open up more opportunities. So it's more about holding yourself to account and actually saying, if this is what I want to do, I'm going to make it happen. And even people that are really struggling, you can do it too. You don't have to be strong to work. Yeah, small steps every day over a small period of time is a huge leap forward.
That's what they say. Creating a habit starts with what?
One small step every day.
Every day.
Yeah.
Well, here's to continued success. I think what you're doing is impacting on a global level, people that need it more so than ever. And I think you're very brave to have used your story and your Balmoral Beach darkness of like, I can't, I won't, I will. Screw you. Watch this. Watch me.
Thanks, babe.
I love you.
I love you too.
Thank you for joining us. Till next time, guys. Matt Dillon here. Fashion Me Late Pod.